Imagine you have a meeting with a major potential client. You've done your research, you're dressed to impress, you are ready to make an impact. You shake hands and you say, thank you. Really looking forward to, sharing our ideas and, feel, I think, confident that we have what it takes to, take your firm to, the next level. Yeah, that statement doesn't land. And you don't land the client because for all of your preparation, you showed up in the vocal equivalent of sweatpants. Sound shapes perception. Perception shapes reality. Within a matter of seconds of hearing you speak, people begin to determine whether you're capable or clueless, if you're worthy of their trust and their time, if you'd make a great leader or be a lifelong friend. The human voice is an incredible tool of influence, and yet very few understand how to use it effectively. It's as if you've been given a Swiss Army knife and you are only using the tweezers. As a voice coach, I help people create the impact and influence that they want in the world. I use techniques I developed as a professional singer and as a voiceover artist. I also draw on my background in behavioral psychology, and this is where things get interesting. Clients come to me expecting to do voice exercises. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. They do not, however, expect to delve deep into their past. And yet this is precisely where our voices are shaped. As kids, we express our full selves. We demand Cheerios with authority. We confess a fear of monsters with vulnerability. We charm, brag, worry, wonder. There is nothing that is off limits. But then the world starts to butt in and starts to tell us how and how not to show up. We're encouraged to be smart, pretty, tough. Maybe we are rewarded for being bold or punished for making mistakes. Perhaps society broadcasts loud and clear that we deserve to be heard or that our lives don't matter. This social conditioning from our cultures, communities, and families all impact our voice. But one of the most defining factors when it comes to shaping our voices is gender. Now, I don't mean the physical differences between men and women, the size of the larynx or testosterone levels. These things determine your natural vocal pitch, whether it is closer to Betty Boop or Barry White. That's nature. I'm more interested in nurture. The stories that we hear around what it means to be masculine or what it means to be feminine, and how these narratives, once internalized, shape our voices into adulthood. In general, men are raised to take charge. Make it happen, be the best, don't be a sissy. Girls are taught to take care. Smile, be a good girl. Don't be so bossy. You want them to like you, right? We see evidence of this socially conditioned communication styles as early as 5, and we absorb these gendered messages like little sponges and start to think that there are certain ways of showing up and speaking up that are right, while others are wrong. We go from owning our full spectrum of who we are as an individual, which includes both our masculine and feminine energies, to a narrow, rigid range of what is both safe and acceptable. It's as if as kids we had this awesome box of 64 crayons, and now we can only use a few colors. Navy blue? Of course. Lavender? Never. For me, the cues traveled clear across the gender divide. My father was a former professional athlete turned workaholic. He valued strength, drive, and tenacity. His idea of bonding was to take me running up the sand dunes of the Great Lakes in the heat of summer. I craved his attention. I didn't want to disappoint my dad. So I often found myself embracing my more aggressive masculine qualities, while sometimes downright rejecting my softer feminine side. Now, my experience isn't completely uncommon, but more often I see women minimizing their masculine qualities and men tamping down their feminine sides. This imbalance is leading to a deeper issue, one that does not just impact the individual, but one that is shaping our society's voice as a whole. Men's hearts are broken because they were never encouraged to connect with them. Women's spirits are broken because their essential value and power have been suppressed. I am here to tell you today that these rigid gender roles are reaching their expiration date. We are redefining what it means to be male or what it means to be female, and we are embracing the full spectrum of what it means to be human. The most successful people in work and in life have access to both their masculine and feminine energies. They can communicate with both power and heart. It is time we move past this battle of the sexes and embrace a balance of the sexes. So how do you integrate that balance? How do you reconnect with your authentic voice and reclaim the full range of who you really are? It starts with you getting curious. What are your inner narratives? How are they keeping you from showing up and speaking up in ways in which you want to be perceived? One client, I'll call him Julian, successful executive, well respected for his insights, but having a very difficult time communicating at work. Anytime he has to speak, it's mumbled, rushed, no eye contact, he just wants to get through it. I start asking questions. Turns out Julian had been bullied as a kid. And anytime he would express his fear or vulnerability or embarrassment, his dad would say, "Deal with it." Or essentially, shut the emotions down. Julian said, "Hillary, that was ages ago." I said, "I know, I get it. I also know that is not the way the body works. See, you might think that you have buried that experience, but in reality, you, the real you, is still buried underneath it. Your work is to go back and reconnect with those lost aspects of yourself. Silencing the inner critic, giving yourself permission to hear your own voice again. Because if you can't hear your voice, you can't have your voice." Now, once you've identified your inner narratives and you've given yourself permission to move beyond them, then you can start to build the voice to get you where you want to go. This starts by identifying what I call are your power leaks. Power leaks are subconscious, self-defeating speaking habits that siphon away your impact. Men who were encouraged to dominate and disengage often miss the power of connection completely. They can inform, but they can't inspire. Common power leaks for men include the fire hose and monotone. Fire hose is a constant barrage of information. It's too much data too fast, leaving no room for anyone else in the conversation. This communication style can actually stimulate a fight or flight response in the brain of the listener. I think you may have all been there at one point or another. This can also be responsible for shutting off parts of the brain that are otherwise able to establish trust, collaboration, and retention. Monotone. Monotone is speaking on one consistent pitch without ever using any variance of inflection. Classic example, "Babe, I love you." Thank you. I mean, I hear the words that are coming out of your mouth and I appreciate it. I just don't know if I really feel the love. Versus, "Babe, I love you." Yeah, you do. Gentlemen, if you get one thing out of today, please let it be this. I'm here to help you. Effective communication is not about the information. It is about the way you make someone feel. Now, women typically have very little trouble connecting. They struggle to command, to sound authoritative and confident. Common power leaks for women include uptalk and apologizing. Uptalk is this upward inflection at the end of a word that makes everything sound like a question rather than a statement, and it leaves the user sounding unconfident, unprofessional, immature, and airheady. I hear uptalk everywhere, but where I hear it most frequently is on that critical first impression where women are introducing themselves and what they do. I'm Veronica Lark. I'm Senior Director of Marketing. I manage a team of 50. Yeah, thanks, Veronica. Apologizing. Apologizing is subconsciously minimizing yourself. It's, oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, can I just say this one thing? Which really translates to, what I have to say probably isn't that important. I don't mean to take up too much of your time, but can I just have this little crumb? Ladies, not only are your colleagues experiencing you putting yourself consistently in this subservient position, but you start to hear that hesitant, mousy voice and you start to think, that's me, that is who I am. And it becomes this negative reinforcing feedback loop. Good news. You can all put a stop to your power leaks by intentionally adopting some new vocal techniques. 2 techniques that both men and women can use to immediately sound more confident and engaging. First technique, diction. Simply speaking clearly. Diction acts as a polish, a top coat of professionalism, intelligence, and importance on whatever it is you're saying. Members of the Academy, I'm thrilled to be here tonight. It is an honor. Versus, members of the Academy, I'm thrilled to be here tonight. It is an honor. Which acceptance speech do you want to be remembered for? Second technique is the pause. The pause is huge. It's the difference between, so, what do you do for work? Oh, me? I slice pizza. Versus, I'm sorry, what did you say you did for work? I slice pizza. Sounds like some pretty amazing pizza. The pause works in a myriad of positive ways. For women, it says, I can take up space. What I have to say is valuable. My ideas are worth your time. I am worth your time. For men, quietly holding eye contact can be an invitation to connect. It communicates openness and vulnerability. Now, when clients first begin implementing some of these new techniques, it is not totally uncommon for them to say, this feels contrived or downright freaking awkward. Ever try a new golf swing or learn how to ski? Each new skill set feels wrong at first. It's completely outside of our comfort zone. But often what is most comfortable is the exact opposite of what will allow us to create the impact that we want in the world. I learned this firsthand as a professional backup singer to major label artists. My signature calling card was this big alto powerhouse sound. I could belt hard for about 20 minutes, and then my voice was shot. Turns out I was developing nodules on my vocal cords that were threatening my career. I went to a specialist, and he said, Hill, you are not an alto. You are a mezzo-soprano, and you are pushing far too hard when you sing. You are literally crushing your vocal cords. Well, this rocked my world because my identity was the powerhouse. I was the little girl that ran sand dunes with her dad. My career was on the line, and so I said, tell me what I have to do. He said, you can have more power, range, control, strength, and endurance than you have ever had. But first, I need you to learn how to get smaller. Smaller. Small equals weak. how can there be more and less? I had to find out. So for months on end, I did these teeny tiny vocal chirps. Right. As if those aren't obnoxious enough, my biggest challenge was overcoming my personal resistance to myself showing up and feeling, being small, soft, vulnerable. Reshaping my identity was an intrinsic part of my ability to reshape and heal my voice. It was uncomfortable most of the time. But in the end, I achieved that balance. I could still go big, but now I could go soft, sweet, and high, too. Ah, ah, I want you to get outside of your comfort zone. Go back to that crayon box, experiment with lavender, try silver, try sky blue. Your fullest self-expression is right there inside of you. Authority and kindness, confidence and vulnerability, power and heart. You want to have real impact and influence in the world? Then give yourself permission to reconnect with that full, authentic voice and share it. Thank you.